We've always really known it, even before science started confirming it. That is, that there's a relationship between hope and health. Not only hope and mental health, but hope and physical health. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. Touching again on the Stephen King movie The Shawshank Redemption and the novella on which it is based, there's a line that I've used several times over the years and bears on the relationship between hope and health. As I recalled yesterday, the story centers on a man named Red, who is resigned to his fate as a prisoner. In short, he's a man who has no real hope. But after a particular encounter with a fellow prisoner, Andy Dufresne, he learns an important lesson about hope. In the movie, Andy utters the line just before he makes his escape from prison. But in the novella, it is Red who says the words as he's deciding whether to go to Mexico to unite with Andy or simply to stay where he is, out of prison, but with no particular direction in life. He says, "And here I am at the Brewster Hotel, technically a fugitive from justice again. Parole violation is my crime. No one is going to throw up any roadblocks to catch a criminal wanted on that charge, I guess. Wondering what I should do now. I have this manuscript. I have a small piece of luggage about the size of a doctor's bag that holds everything I own. I have 1950s, 4 10s, a 5, 3 1s, and assorted change. I broke one of the 50s to buy this tablet of paper and a deck of smokes. Wondering what I should do. But there's really no question. It always comes down to just two choices. Get busy living or get busy dying. For Red, the choice isn't really about living or dying. That's the result. It's a choice between having hope and simply bumping along in life, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. We all know folks whose lives are defined by hopelessness and despair. I think some people are just wired to live in despair. But for most of us, we can fall into despair under the right, or should I say, the wrong circumstances. Maybe it's a seemingly endless stream of bad news. Perhaps it's the death of a loved one. Maybe it's watching helplessly as a family member continues to make destructive choice after destructive choice. Things like this can suck the hope right out of us and leave us in a funk so deep we cannot see out of it. It leaves us in a state of true clinical depression, and our bodies begin to feel the effects of our despair. The psalmist knew something of what this was like, writing, "While I kept silence, my body wasted away through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My strength was dried up as by the heat of summer. Then I acknowledged my sin to you, and I did not hide my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the guilt of my sin." I chose this passage advisedly. As I've said before, disease isn't caused by sin, and that's not even what I'm talking about today. But in this passage, we see the relationship between the despair of the psalmist for his transgressions against the Lord and his body wasting away. I have to be totally honest here. There is no passage in Scripture that unequivocally connects hope and health, but it is hinted out throughout the pages of the Bible, and this is one of those places. It confirms what we know by experience to be true. Despair and hopelessness frequently have a terrible impact on our physical health. You've seen it, and so have I. And chances are pretty good you've experienced it yourself from time to time. Maybe despair drives you to eat more than is healthy, and you gain a bunch of weight. Or perhaps the opposite. Maybe you're one of those folks who just quits eating enough when you're in a state of despair and you lose a lot of weight. Either way, hopelessness and despair can have a profound impact on our health. I say this because it is important to have a sense of hope in life. Sometimes it's enough to have something to look forward to. A visit to see a family member, a vacation, maybe even just making a date to have lunch or dinner with a friend. Simply having plans in the future can give us a sense of hope. But in a larger sense, having a sense of ultimate hope and hanging on to that can be the most important thing of all. And when we return tomorrow, we'll talk about that ultimate hope. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.